Goldstein. She's a lawyer, founder, and executive director of the Lawfare project. Brooke, it's always good to see you. Let's talk about this outrage that we're seeing. The Syrian man who came here on a visa, marries an American, now has a green card, promotes Hamas propaganda, which is a terrorist organization, and somehow activists feel like this is about free speech issue. You, as a lawyer, what are your thoughts?
Well, thank you, Stella, for having me. It's always nice to be with you. I mean, this is just fake outrage. And frankly, these are fake protesters. I'm wondering how many of the over 100 that were arrested are also going to now be charged and convicted of crimes and deported because they're foreigners coming into this country with the sole purpose of agitating in these pro-terror mobs. It's not a free speech issue. And I think it's really important for every American to understand that the deportation, hopefully the coming deportation of Mahmoud Khalil, has nothing to do with your free speech rights. The reason why he has been detained is because of his actions, because he is being accused of being one of the lead organizers of a mob, a pro-terror mob with potential connections to foreign countries like Iran and potentially connections to foreign designated terrorist groups like Hamas, who have engaged in a criminal conspiracy, allegedly to take over buildings, to have these hostile encampments, to trespass, to violate the civil rights of Americans on campuses and on the streets, to engage in destruction of property. These are all actions. And that is why he has been detained, for his alleged role in organizing these mobs that are violating the law. Now, the United States has every right under our laws, specifically the Immigration and Nationality Act, to strip those of their green cards that violate the basic provisions. And one of the provisions is that they have to agree not to engage in criminal activity that endanger the public. Now, there's this whole PR campaign that wants to confuse the issue and pretend like this is a First Amendment issue when it's not. Nobody is getting rounded up and deported on our streets because of their speech. They are being deported and they are being arrested because of their unlawful criminal conduct.
Brooke, how likely is it that he will face deportation? Like, will he actually face deportation?
Well, he is facing deportation. What he has now is a due process right to challenge his detention before he's deported. And really, the burden is on the United States government now to prove by clear and convincing evidence that indeed Mahmoud Khalil did violate the terms of his green card. And if the government is able to prove this, and if everything the government is saying is true, not only was he a spokesperson for this pro-terror mob and hostile encampments, but he was part and parcel of organizing the destruction and organizing the civil rights violations and organizing the criminal activity. 100%. He should, he must, and he will be deported.
I know you heard this yesterday. You know, the attorney speaking for his wife said he was kidnapped from his home while the organization her husband was promoting literally kidnapped and killed people, kidnapped them from their homes, killed them in their homes, kidnapped people who still remain in Gaza tunnels, including 5 Americans dead and alive. Make it make sense.
Right, interesting use of words. Exactly, Stella. I mean, what they're using the mirror effect. They are accusing others of exactly what they themselves are guilty of supporting, and it's the same tactics with the obfuscation and the unnecessary complication of what is a very simple legal issue. Those who have the privilege, it's not a right, but who have the privilege of entering into our country have to abide by our laws. It's that simple. And anybody who is bringing the free speech argument into this is doing so because they cannot justify the conduct. So that's why they're crying free speech, free speech. That is not what's going on here.
But can we talk about the universities like Columbia who allowed this constant terror on their campuses, allowing the disruption of education, even teachers and faculty playing a role? So now $400 million in federal funding has been cut to Columbia, 60 more universities put on notice. What is your reaction to the actions being taken by this administration?
I applaud the Trump administration for taking exactly the actions that he was elected to take. The president is fulfilling on his promises, and the American people elected him because they want to bring back law and order to this country, and because they are concerned about the subversive, radical, foreign funded influences, pro terror influences on our streets and on our campuses. Now, I have to say, full disclaimer, the Lawfare Project is suing Columbia University on behalf of a Jewish student who experienced horrific anti Semitic discrimination and retaliation, who herself felt unsafe on campus. And again, it's not about speech, it's about making a physically unsafe environment for Jewish students and other students, frankly, in academia to attend. There have been physical assaults on campus. There's been violence in the last protest. I believe it was reported that one of the security personnel was sent to the hospital. You know, Americans can see what's going on the TV screen right now. They see that these are violent mobs engaging in criminal activity. This is not about some benign, protester holding a speech that says, "I love Hamas." There's something extraordinary sinister here. And it's important that the government enforces the law. Otherwise, I don't, there's no way else to say this, but we're going to lose our country.
Yeah. Brooke, I look forward to a day where college students are not terrorized at school. As an adult, I mean, it totally breaks my heart to see this. I've been on these college campuses. I see it, and it makes my blood boil. It makes me sad. I cannot even imagine what they're going through day in, day out. Nobody's putting themselves in their shoes.
Right, and that's the double standard. That could you imagine if at Columbia University for the past year and a half there were men and women, members of the KKK, chanting "Kill the blacks," taking out nooses, beating up black students and professors on campus. The school would not tolerate that, and yet there's this double standard when it comes to Jews, and the excuse that they're using is that we hate Israel. We hate the policies of a foreign government. Therefore, we can come to this country and we can cause havoc and we can beat up Jews on the street. Well, it doesn't work that way, right? I don't care how much you hate a foreign country. That's not an affirmative offense to go around beating up Jewish students and having a hostile environment. It's illegal activity. And we need to take a hard look at those elected officials like Rashida Tlaib and those so-called pundits, like people like Greg Greenwald, who go on TV and pretend like they're experts in the Constitution, but unfortunately their politics are so aligned with these pro-Hamas mobs that it's clouding their judgment. I mean, all of these people would fail law school. This is not First Amendment protected speech, and we need to stop falling for that decoy of an argument.
Yeah, the same people who say they hate the Jews hate America. That's exactly the organization that Mahmoud Khalil was a part of, to basically abolish the Western civilization. I look forward to the day we don't see this anymore, Brooke. Thank you for fighting the good fight, really.
Thank you for having me, Stella.
Good to see you.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.